Oh, we're live. Hello. So I'm early. Welcome. Don't worry. I'm just looking if to see if I can create fudge. I'm here. All right. Let's see. So I thought I figured it out, but I have not. So I'm going to pin a warning. Okay, and then I'm going to pin message. Okay, there we go. And I'm still vibrating my computer. I think we're done. Yay! Okay, let us dive in. So I do have obviously some folks that are going to be joining us today. And I'm going to give everybody a chance to join me. But I wanted to echo some things that we talked about the other day. Kind of like we talked about our hearts, but I don't want to get into that right now just because I want to give everybody a chance to come in. I hope everyone is doing well. I'm just going to check my phone for a second to see. Here in Massachusetts, we are at a balmy 36 degrees. And it is going to drop, but only into like the high 20s, which always makes me suspicious because cold air is coming. And I have a whole bunch of errands tomorrow. So I have to actually leave my house. And then Saturday, I'm blessed to have some company. Some girlfriends from my theater group are coming. So I'm very excited about that. And that means I need to clean my house. And you may ask, why is it that I didn't spend the week doing that? And the answer would be, don't have a good answer. One of the challenges that I have is that I am a procrastinator. And so I'm working on that. That is one of my 2026 improvement goals for myself. As is avoiding difficult or even positive things. I think when you've had challenges, things get a little bit difficult. Not an amateur, not an amateur procrastinator. Oh, I am a queen professional procrastinator. How are you, Richard? Welcome and thanks for being here. I saw you on a lot of chats yesterday and today, so good to see you. Hope you're well. We're having a balmy, I think I just said 36 degrees here in central Massachusetts. So I don't know if I'm considered central or western, whatever. Doesn't really matter. We're still having a balmy 36 degrees, and it was great because I did take the dogs for a nice long walk and there was less salt on the road because the salt gets into their poor paws. And I've seen people put dog booties on. My dogs, they don't even like their harness. So, and for the money, I don't know if I really want to spend money on booties that dogs aren't going to wear only to have to return them. So anyway, yada, yada, yada. Hope you're well. So I was talking just, in preparation for the coming days, some of the things that I really want to focus in on, they are heart-centered because what keeps me down is me. You said, "Hey, it's melted the ice from last night. I avoided salting this morning because I knew it would warm up." Absolutely. And even in the dog park, um, there were a couple of icy spots, but even by the time we were getting ready to leave the dog park, it had melted. And I'm trying to get some of the people in the dog park to go with me. You can bring 5 10-gallon buckets, but 5-gallon buckets to the DPW, and they will give you free sand. So for the dog park, that's perfect for the dogs because you don't want to put salt down, and even salt-friendly products, it gets in their paws, and the poor punums, the poor babies, it affects them. My little puppers. So the Scotty is laying next to me, and Luca's on the other chair. They're going to be so disturbed on Saturday when I I have cushions on all the chairs so that when they sit on it, they don't stain them or dirty them. And they're going to be so bummed because I'm taking away all their beds off of the chairs for company. I'm like, other people need to put their tushies in those seats. Um, but, one of the things that I think is an opportunity for us when we're trying to heal, when we're trying to grieve, while trying to forgive, which I'm going to talk a little bit about, while trying to love, while trying to be loved. That's a lot for one heart. Indigo Blackthorn is here. Welcome, welcome. You said 1% rule, do tasks in smaller portions. Pick up all the clothes and put them in the hamper. Then you can get to the next step, taking laundry into the laundry room. This can work as a method for 2 people to help them move the process forward. Well, it's just me and my dogs and my kitty. So, but having said that, I agree with you. And that's what I do. Especially being a procrastinator. And the tasks that I hate doing the most, I am an avoider. And in conversations, it's like, why? What are we so afraid of when we do these things? And so I like the idea of using this year to kick off a new attitude. There's a song, where's Ben? The new attitude of taking the opportunity to make those positive changes without being sort of feet to the fire kind of thing. I don't want to be under pressure, and I don't want to feel disappointed in myself if I don't accomplish certain things. And what's funny, even though I may have been a procrastinator in administrative things, my house was always spick and span, always organized. Now, I'm not using my mother's death as an excuse, so bear with me on this. But after my mom died, my depression and my grief were so profound, I could barely get out of bed. I couldn't even shower for a long time. I couldn't even, the effort to just breathe was overwhelming. And so after I had my heart event in 2019, which we'll talk about in a couple of weeks, I felt rejuvenated, but I didn't have the health behind me. And then I was moving. So I was packing it in boxes for a year and a half. And then I moved and was in boxes until recently. And I've been doing such a good job at purging what's in the boxes. My attitude has been if I didn't need it for the last year and a half, then odds are I don't need it. So let me just check the comments. I use this for myself too. Like all my dirty dishes are in the sink. Now all I got to do is wash them. Absolutely. So I do that as well. And I don't have a dishwasher. So I will pile up my dishes. And at the end of the day, before I go upstairs for bed, that's the one thing that I will do is the dishes because I don't want to come down in the morning and have dirty dishes in the sink. Bacon bits, bacon bits, bacon bits. Oh, that's funny, Indigo. Let's all do that. Bacon bits, bacon bits, bacon bits. Um, Grief literally changes the chemical balance in your body. It can cause brain fog, depression, etc. So it's definitely an explanation. It makes sense. Yes. Look, Mish is in the house, everybody. Whoop, whoop. Hey, Mish. We were just talking about the fact that I am queen procrastinator. And as I was waiting for everybody to sort of pile in today, I was lamenting the fact that today's Thursday. We're now going into Friday. I have company on Saturday. And so I'll be like a crazy woman tomorrow trying to get the house what I consider presentable. So, but then as we talk about, our healing hearts and the changes that we may want to make, yeah, hang on. Oops, boomeranged. Mish was summoned with the bacon bits repetition. Yes. So Mish, I had mentioned a song lyric and I said, oh, where's Ben? He should be here. And then Indigo says, yes, like Beetlejuice. Bacon bits, bacon bits, bacon bits. And then in popped you. So we're catching you up. Yes, you are a procrastinator extraordinaire, but I find that hard to believe because you've accomplished so much. Maybe that's because you have to wait for the last minute before you get shit done. I think I can say that word. So January for us, for me, is supposed to be about a fresh start. Not necessarily about resolutions because I failed resolutions for decades. And we've all sort of talked about that before. It's not really about the resolutions, but some of the things that I want to inspire in me is being healthier, right? So we're going to talk about it in a couple of weeks, but I have heart issues. But in the just before my dad died in May 2025, the anxiety, the stress, I started to gain some weight. I was feeling a little bit lethargic. Then 3 other people died, then 4 people died, then 6 people died. And I just poof. Now I know that this extra weight is not good for the heart. It's not good for the mind. It's not good for the body. And it ain't good for my attitude. And as I'm trying to use my words wisely and only speak kindly to myself, getting up in the morning and go, "Ugh, you look like a fat cow," is not a positive reflection. And so how do I, reel that back in and still love who I am and love the facade and the vessel regardless? Because those are the words of other people in my past. Not that anyone called me a fat pig. That never. It was more subtle than that. And in some cases, people would think it was encouraging. Oh, have you started exercising again? And little things like, that's a little tight, meaning clothes that I had on. I'm like, yeah, I have a mirror. I know this. I don't need you to all tell me. So anyway, but when our hearts are in a space of indecision and hurt and sorrow, anxiety, how do we evolve? How do we come out of it? One of the things that Jimena was talking about today on her channel, when we use words like energy, not everybody relates to higher power. They like the word God. They like the word Jesus. If you talk about energy, that, it's more like people need space from you, or, it's using relatable words. When you're in a community, so I have a couple of different outlets of people that I've studied with when it comes to energy practice, Reiki energy, spiritual coaching, those kinds of things, we can talk the same language. And I would imagine that that happens with IT techie guys, right? And gals, guys and gals, people. When I say guys, I'm sort of lumping all sex in there. Um, when you're with theater people, like that's who's going to come over on Saturday, we have a language. We have that kind of thing that we relate to and talk about. When it comes to this global community, for those of us that are heart-centered, empaths, spiritual beings that want to bring love and light to community, using our words need to be relatable. And grounding, whenever I tell somebody about grounding or a ritual, I have to remind my friends, so I can relate to Catholicism. So that was my background. We used incense. Hello. Palo Santo. Incense. Clearing space, right? Candles. Oh, shocking. Churches have candles. They light them for prayer and for invoking angels. So I find it not, I guess, hypocritical of I want to say religious people. I think that's doing a disservice to religious people, but people of certain faiths with strict my way is the right way attitudes. And then I invoke, well, as an energy centered person, I like candles. I use Palo Santo to sort of clear negative energy. Oh, that's just, hogwash and devil worship and all that kind of stuff. So how do I relate and how do I convey in this conversation with people that join the channel that it's not hoodoo, voodoo, hippy dippy stuff, as Jimena would say. But it's stuff that you probably already do. Do you carry a rabbit's foot? Isn't that a little hippy dippy? You're putting faith in a rabbit's foot? Poor rabbit. He wants his foot back. So in the grounding, in the centering, in the acknowledging these buzzwords as spiritual practice for the heart that's doing too much, that feels too much, that I'm thinking that races too much, right? Ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. We're not slowing down for the conversation, for the thought process. You love you some bacon. Mish says, girl, I love and appreciate you saying that, but I'm not getting anything done like I want to. But so that's something that we could work on together. And one of the things that I just asked a friend is to keep me accountable. I'm on a weight loss journey, and that's why I put the poll out there today. I'm offering to do 3 free sessions for mindful hypnosis or mindful meditation to encourage those that want to eat healthier and exercise. It's not necessarily a traditional 90-minute hypnosis session where I would talk individually with each person. It's a global, we are all wanting to do the same thing. We all have a personal goal of maybe incorporating more vegetables into our diet or eating less, portion control, exercising and shaking our groove thing a little bit more to keep us moving, even in the cold. And so I put the poll out. I'll see what the response is. I'm going to do it regardless for me. And there is one other person I think will join me. And so if there are Ben Bacon Bits, we talked about you earlier, Ben. We all were Beetlejuice invoking you to join the conversation. So nice to see you here, and we'll fill you in. Uh-oh, hiya, sorry. Been having to weave a fine quilt of profanity with this survey. Uh-oh. Oh, you're funny. I would love to hear your induction. Great. So we can talk about that because I will be doing a version of an induction. So feel free to when I schedule it, I will schedule 3 sessions and it'll probably be a Google Meet just so that it's not part of this YouTube world because I don't want I hate using the word trolls, but the negative elements to join us. I eat veggies not because I necessarily love animals, but because I hate plants. What did you wait a minute, let me read that better because my eyeglasses were not on. I eat veggies not because I necessarily love animals, but because I hate plants. Okay. uh, right. Um, the power of us, we just needed one more to make it truly connect. Oh Lord, meat. Um, okie dokie. Good call. Let me just make sure I haven't missed anything else. Hold on. By moving forward and not staying comfy in the yuck, I don't know. That's what I'm trying to do anyway. So that's part of the conversation that I wanted to have because one of the things that, as a heart centered person, both physically and spiritually, right? The energy it can guide us through the healing process. And look, when you're, let's just be honest, most of us aren't dealing with just one emotional task, a poop fest, an issue. We're healing from something that cracked us open or hasn't cracked us open and it's about to crack us open. And when we're grieving something we lost, whether it's a person, a dream, a version of ourselves, or we're trying to forgive someone who may never apologize, and in my case, never has, never will, and now can't. We're trying to love again after being disappointed. I mean, and trying to believe that we're worthy of being loved in return. Now, I've heard 1,000 times, and that's not an exaggeration. Why aren't you married? You're so lovely. You have such a good heart. Why don't you have a partner in your life? Because I've been hurt and disappointed, and now I slammed that freaking door shut. I bolted it. I then created a moat with nails and exploding devices, and then I built more moats around it because you're going to have to jump through an awful lot of hoops for me to trust you. Being on YouTube is a trust thing. Talking to you guys is a trust thing for me. But it's also an opportunity for me to dip my toe in the water and maybe or not, I will allow myself to meet somebody. I don't know. I don't even know what I want to accomplish professionally this year. I'm about to embark on, I think, a certification, a training. I'm thinking about it. I have to figure out how to swing to pay for it. But I have a lot of tools and a lot of skills. Most of what I'm probably going to do has to be done online because I'm in a rural community, which doesn't like my liberality. And they believe that I have negative intentions when I talk about this kind of topic. When I talk about healing, when I talk about love, when I talk about community, it's like somebody recently said, what are you Russian? You want to have a commune? And I'm like, well, the concept's not a bad idea, but no, you're missing the point. if we're kind and we help one person, and then that person turns out and does the same thing, and the next person does it, right? It's the domino effect. And what a glorious thing we could do. I'm no longer the Pollyanna that thinks I could influence tons of people to be kinder and nicer, especially when I struggle with being kinder and nicer myself. So, but I still have that itsy bitsy innocence and that itsy bitsy Pollyanna attitude where I think that maybe in my actions, in my kindness, I can influence some of those people that think I'm fakakta in the caboodle. That's kind of a trippy, hippy, dippy, nutty kind of gal that's too sensitive. It's too emotional. Well, anger is too emotional too. So your tirade back at me with all this anger and hate is just the opposite version of me trying to give love and affection. So bite me. That would not be a Dalai Lama theme. Okay. I thought you were near New York. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. I was raised in New York, if that's what you're talking about. Hold on. Let's just go back. Richard says, our summons worked, just took a bit. I know. So Ben, just to catch you up, earlier in the show, I was talking about the fact that I was going to have a new attitude. And I said, ooh, a new attitude. Where's Ben? I have a new song. And so Indigo said, well, let's Beetlejuice him. Bacon bits, bacon bits, bacon bits. And then Misha popped into the chat. And now you're here. So there you go, Ben Bacon Bits. That's what we mean. All right. Yeah, Mish, the power of us just needed one more to make it truly connect. Ben says in Carnosol, if you won't turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will. Oh, you guys. Ben, who? Sister? I don't have a sister. Beyond Meat, trend isn't helping with that either. I thought you were near New York. So I'm not sure, Ben, who you're asking. Oh, thank you. Mish and chat. So you guys are on this journey with me, whether you know it or not. These are my final days as a brunette. I am no longer going to be coloring my hair. So this, hold on. My grays are going to be coming through soon. We'll see how that goes. But thank you. I didn't do anything special. I just sort of brushed the hair and poofed it. And then I took the dogs for a walk and it got windblown. I'm like, I don't have the energy to do anything else to it. I think it's the lighting. And look, I'm not turning green. I don't know what I did, people. I turned on a lot more lights. Yeah, we can make ripples. All right. Richard said, hold on. I just passed Richard. Your avatar is in an image from North Carolina and see that basically looks like a cross between Baby Yoda and the Ancient One. Oh, all right. You guys are having a little ha-ha. Karen Suki's in the house. Hello, Karen Suki. Thank you for being here. You guys are funny with your aliens. See, I love you guys because we don't get freaked out by even those topics. So, yes. Okay, let's see. You have unlearned what you have learned, Richard. Uh-oh. Okay, I'm still trying to figure out some of the chat. So, what are we going to talk about? So, healing and our heart and being heart-centered and grounding and what it actually means. So, I think for me, grieving. So it's grieving a loss of people, but it's grieving the me I thought I wanted to be. It's grieving the future I imagined. Now, part of that had to do with my health. Part of that has to do with finances and the trouble that I initially put myself in. And now I'm limited with what I can do to support myself and improve. So, I think there's, as we think about our hearts, how do we then try to ground ourselves? And so let's talk about grounding. And everyone knows about grounding, right? But it's not about being calm all the time, and it's not always about being positive, and it's not about pretending you're okay when you're not okay. Grounding is about being held. It's the moment our nervous system says, I don't have to carry all of this alone right now. And that's what I wanted this channel to be. I don't want everybody to feel like they have to carry their stuff by themselves alone. It doesn't mean I need to be your consigliere. I don't need to be your therapist. I'm not a therapist. Let's make that perfectly clear. And I'm not a doctor. I am a comforter. I am a listener. I'm a friend. And I think that if we're in a community of positivity, when some days it just doesn't seem like you can find the positivity yourself, or, I sometimes for me, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in how the world turned out. I'm disappointed in how I turned out. I'm disappointed in the lack of joie de vivre or energy that I have put in place for myself. What I got to light a fire under my ass, but it's very hard to do when you're alone. So the group hypnosis is really to kick off community and accountability. That's part of the reason I'm doing journaling every day and putting the post out there on my channel. I have to figure out the short system. I'm not quite good at that yet. I have a couple of things that I lined up and then it just seemed to down for me. So that's a technical term. Feel free to use anytime you need to. Fibromyalgia sucks. And I'm so sorry, Karen. I really am. I know you mentioned that once before, but hon, I wish I was physically closer to you, because I think the breathing and the Reiki energy can help. I think food can help, and removing things from our body can help. But fibromyalgia just sucks. So I'm really sorry. How do I, Mish, are you talking about, how do you spell? So for me, grounding is a spiritual practice, whether that's prayer for you, it's coming back into your body, it's breathing. And we talk about breath all the time, and people want to flip me off, but that deep breath opens up everything in our body. It's like traffic, right? All of a sudden that breathing clears the path and you can speed down the highway. And that's what breathing does for our body. It creates the space for everything that needs to flow and move in our bodies to do it without constantly hitting a roadblock. My nickname is Tree, in case you didn't know. And I go by that a lot. And I always think of grounding like a tree, a literal tree. The roots go down deep into the earth. You have this strong tree trunk that has multiple branches. Some are really thick. As you go further up the top, they're not as thick because they're still growing, but then they grow thicker and thicker and thicker. Sometimes they break. They house critters, squirrels and insects and all sorts of good stuff. So the tree, it doesn't stop a storm, right? It doesn't stop the wind. It doesn't, when there's leaves on it, it doesn't really still shelter you from rain or snow or any of those things. But I think what it does do is the roots are deep enough that it can ground us and we can sway with whatever's coming at us, but we're still sturdy and we're still well rooted in the earth. And so I think if we can use that analogy or something similar for those of you that have other ideas, it helps us. So, it's breathing. It's accepting our own limitations, but it's also not being limited by those limitations. Yeah, I have some thoughts. So I just want to see if anybody's saying anything in the chat. So traffic, like Steve Winwood's old band. Oh, well, no, but um, who wrote "Run Like the Wind"? Was that Loggins and Messina? Was that Loggins and Messina? "Run with the Wind"? I could be way off on that one. Mish says, I have a grounding mat and bracelet. I feel better when I use them. Yes, absolutely. And where did I put it? I was just showing Jimena. So I have this crystal that has been worn into like a worry pad. So you can rub your thumb up and down alongside it. Can you see the indentation? I'll sort of do it on a diagonal, sorry. And using your finger, I hold it in certain conversations. It helps me stay grounded, present in this moment in time. Let's see. Can I do? So, oops, I didn't spell that right. Hold on. Hello, what's going on here? Hold on. So a grounding mat is a mat that you can stand on, you can lay down on. The way that it works, at least in some instances, there's a power port. And I don't know if it's different than the one Mish has, but the ground outlet is completely safe to plug into something because it doesn't have live electricity. It has conductive wire behind it that runs directly into the earth underneath the ground. And when your skin touches the mat, it's the mat's conductive services, your body is directly connected to the earth. That's what they say. I don't have one. Mish, have you used it? Does it work? Okay, so let's see what Mish is saying because I don't know anybody else that has one. So hang on, guys. Mish was just saying, I did get my origami safe and sound, and I didn't pack it away with the decorations. I'm hanging it up. So just so you know, it's with me all the time. And do I have it right here, or did I put it on the other table? I want to show everybody the origami. Let me see if I put it in front of me. Hold on, because in my cleaning today, I moved things around, but I'm still on my coffee table and did not clean that. All right, I must have moved it, or I already hung it up, which would be shocking. Hang on. Let's see. No, I didn't put it there. Okay. I thought I had it, but I don't have it at my fingertips. I may just get up and show everybody, though, or try to remember to bring it for next week. I love it. Thank you. Ben says, I had a selenite stone. It cracked in my hand when I was playing with Project Stargate remote viewing. Don't know if that was a sign or what. Okay. Is it better than just being on the ground? Um, it's kind of like, well, so Mish says yes. She had sheets for the first time, and my feet used to swell hugely, but within 2 days, they haven't swollen hardly any at all, maybe a day or so, but that is without continued use. So I don't think it can hurt. I haven't used it, but if you do decide to do it, Karen, let us know if it works for you, um, because I think any kind of connection to the earth through vibration, physical vibration, um, is good for us. But I am not a doctor, nor do I play one on YouTube. So Ben says, being on the ground helps barefoot. I had the best grounding when I was at a substation that was an old Native American ground way back when. Oh, when I was in Arizona, in Sedona at a retreat, we all would, this retreat had, oh, what do you call them? Well, one was a maze. So you would walk the maze, and if you did it barefoot, I'm telling you, you would feel, without anybody saying anything, you felt energy. I can't tell you if it was magical or mystical. I don't believe I was making it up because no one mentioned it to me. And at one point, it was like I felt charged. And I'm excitable anyway, but I was kind of like on speed. Not that I even know what that means, but I was very hyper and I was boom, 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 boom. And I sort of sat down and I did a grounding meditation, and I was in the sun and I was sitting there and I was feeling, oh, and it was like this wave coming up my butt and my feet. And it really was magical. I liked Sedona. I'm not a fan of the heat or the snakes or the other critters. I like New England where, yes, we have snakes, but not like those snakes. Um, but anyway, yeah, Ben loved it. Mish says, I washed them without thinking. Ooh, I added bleach. It eroded the silver threading. Okay, bummer. The movie that she just shared explains it wonderfully. So take a look at that, Karen. Um, Vortex. Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's multiple vortexes, especially in Sedona, but I'm sure all over. Yeah, you're not gonna at this point in time. Maybe Richard's braver than me. I'm not putting my feet on the ground, my bare feet on the ground. Not gonna happen. Too cold, too icy, ain't gonna happen. Yeah, Karen, Sedona, I've been twice now for two different retreats. The second one that I went to was at a place that had drum circles, had a lot of circles where powerful energy came through. Other people had connections that I didn't have. Um, you walked through angel markers, for lack of a better word. Um, and, I tried through the whole experience of that one not to get too disappointed because some people really had like powerful connections to otherworldly stuff. They had, I don't know if it was visions, but they had experiences. Since I didn't have one, I don't know what those were, and I don't think I can relate. But someone had sort of a past life experience in this group meditation, and I wasn't there for that. But man, I would have liked to have had some kind of otherworldly experience. We did see things darting in the sky that were not stars. I will say that. We did, I don't know if it was midnight But it was really late in the evening, and we did a maze, and we only had um, flashlights, and you followed the maze. And we were guided verbally through I'll call it a meditation, maybe mindfulness. And our teacher was very, well, I still love her. She's not dead. She would guide us, and then there was silence in the darkness. I can't tell you how profound and beautiful that was. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say to that. Okay. But I loved that teacher. Anne Marie's a great teacher. Um, Native Americans wore moccasins, not plastic like our society today. There were several reasons, but um, I think you mean in your opinion, IMO, in my opinion, it kept their souls connected to the earth. Base of Cathedral Rock? I don't know what that is. Eckhart Tolle says Sedona was more transparent than other places. Interesting. I would like to have moccasins again. I love them back in the 60s. I know of an electrical engineer who is studying electricity anomalies up there. I know there is strange gravitational things up there. Seen a few blame it on the iron ore content in the ground. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I believe in that. I would love to hear what your friend has to say who's studying the electricity because I truly believe it is otherworldly. And it doesn't have to be woo woo, but we ain't alone. Just saying, not playing. Okay. And geology is big out there and so many crystals. I mean, I have a crystal collection. That's one of the things that I have not downsized. I kind of feel like when you're in a crystal store, you're somewhere. I know I have it here. Come to mama. Ah, sorry, guys. We've got to pull this out. Certain crystals speak to you, right? It speaks to you. And it's not often that I actually feel the vibration, but there have been a few crystals that I hold or have touched, and I feel a pulsation. Now, could it be me? Yes, I have a pulse, but it was different, and it didn't feel like it was of me. So I'll just say that. I have a lot of selenite in my house. My old house, all the doors had enough width that I could put selenite over every door. Um, and I had grids under my bed. Um, and that was on my learning journey with Reiki. And I think, Richard, aren't you a Reiki master or a Reiki practitioner? I don't know if Richard's still here. He may have had to pop. Oh, no, there he is. Richard's Karen, my favorite slippers, LL Bean Wicked Good slippers, soft leather bottom, shearling lined, just a bit pricey. Those lingam stones, what are they called? Those I can feel vibrate. I'm not sure. Um, some of your faux memories as a child were of crystals. So, I believe that those faux memories aren't really faux, even if you didn't have that experience in this life, a past life. But that's, I guess, a conversation for a different day with more experts, because that's not my area of expertise. But I think when we talk about, yes, as a little girl, I collected rocks too. I just collected what was pretty. And I think any real teacher will say, let something resonate with you. When I was going through my tremendous grief, a friend of mine, a fellow student, she gave me obsidian, and it's a black stone, and it's supposed to be from, I guess, the Native American times, and that would help with grief. And I could be wrong with the name obsidian, but I think I'm right. But don't hold me to it. I really liked, I have a big amethyst right by my bed. I have um, some others, and there was a great, well, again, I was going to say there was a great lady. She still exists. Her name is Donna Spear. She is part of a group called Celestial Phases, but she closed down her physical business. So I'm somebody that needs to see and feel a crystal. I can't just do it online. And I know we have, who's the lady on the creator that we all know that she's got her own crystal shop? Chloe's Crystal. I'm a girl that needs to touch the crystal. I don't want to just spend money, and I don't need another freaking crystal. So, that's not going to happen. But my teacher, um, she would spread them out ahead of time, label them so you knew what they were. And when she went live, she would explain it, and then you could go in person to pick them up. And if you didn't jive with it, then you could swap it for something else. Um, oh, you're not a Reiki practitioner. I'm looking into and learning more about it. Ah, okay. For some reason, I don't know why I thought you said you were. So maybe you said you were studying. Um, but the Reiki energy, it's there's an electricity that comes from that, in my opinion. And when I was talking to some people about Reiki, I use the example of rubbing your hands really fast and hot and letting it get hot and letting it get hotter, 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 and then pulling. You feel that vibration in between. That's as close to describing what Reiki energy feels like. And eventually, as you go through the training and the learning and the belief system, my hands get hot naturally when I'm about to practice Reiki. I can feel the vibration and the heat from my hands. You place your hands either over or on certain areas of your body. When I receive Reiki treatments, which has been so dang long because so many shops have had to close, that your body, again, if you think of a highway and traffic, you feel it opening up. I felt things kind of slither off my body. One of my first Reiki teachers was not a good human. I had to learn because, again, naive, Pollyanna, I thought and felt that those that are practicing these kinds of arts are all good. They're well-intentioned. And this guy was not, at least for me and towards me. Thankfully, there were other students in the class that noticed it. So, I'm one of these people that I'm hesitant to say things because is it just me? Am I projecting because I feel bad about myself? No, this person was a jerk. I still send him love and light because unfortunately, he left his community and came to my physical community, opened a business near me, and originally wanted to buy my house when it was up for sale. Anyone that knows me knows if you could love a house like a human, I loved that house. That house was filled with love, light, healing energy. Anyone that came to my house said that. It felt like you were walking into a warm hug. And when I got the offer, I said to my realtor, over my dead body. Now, he lowballed it, ridiculously so, by hundreds of thousands of dollars. He lowballed his offer. And I said, I will stay here and bankrupt myself and this house and foreclose it before I let that person buy this house, because that house emanates love and light. And he is darkness, and not in a happy darkness place. Okay, we're moving on. Sorry, I went down the rabbit hole. And when we talk about healing, right? We talk about part of the healing is forgiveness. And so for me with that person, forgiveness isn't just saying, it's okay. It's not about forgetting. It's not about reconciling. It's not about excusing someone's behavior, right? I'm just trying to follow the chat. Sorry, guys. For me, I think maybe for most, forgiveness is that moment, at least for me, that I decide my heart doesn't deserve to keep all this crap. And I don't want to carry this wound. So it's the shift from what they did, what that person did is still hurting me, to choosing not to let it define that emotional landscape anymore. It's self-liberation, right? It's not about forgiving the person. It's for me. The forgiveness is for me. It's for that release. Like, I'm not carrying that in my backpack of life anymore. And that's a choice, and it's a hard choice, and it takes a long time. But I've also, you can acknowledge that something hurt you, that it mattered, and that it changed something in me. Because I will say it was after my mom had passed, because I had started his class, and I had also gone to another teacher who had a weekend retreat, and I thought it sounded really interesting, and I went, and I loved it. I loved the teacher. And in his initial thing, he's like, "Oh, you should go to multiple teachers." And so I shared that I did. And he said he couldn't have me in his space. I was dirty. I was dirty. My energy was dirty. Now, for a girl who has experienced violence and has felt dirty for decades, to tell her that she is dirty and basically unworthy was devastating, especially while I was in the throes of that grief. And the grief had just happened. It was barely a year old, and this person knew that. And so when you talk about releasing and forgiving, it's not about him. The anger, the sorrow, the betrayal, those were all obstacles for me feeling clean and released and pure of heart. I am not dirty. I did not do anything. And allowing someone else to tell you your value needs to stop. That is my mission on this planet. We are not going to be told that we don't have value. If you say it because you know you're not a good person, whole different ball of wax. I haven't met one person that isn't worth value in this community. So the story is, I get to choose what stays in my heart. I get to choose what I release, and I'm releasing it. Because by holding on to those words, that attitude, first of all, he ain't no kind of healer. And he had his own issues. And you know what? That's his journey and his path. My journey and my path is to release that which does not serve me. And that does not serve me. And I may have done a lot of wrong things in my life. I have never, well, I don't want to say I've never intentionally hurt somebody, because I don't think I can say that. I didn't set out to intentionally hurt somebody, but probably words at some point did hurt someone. So I think I know I'm a good person, flawed, human, but I think that when you have someone who says things, even family, even a parent, even a sibling, anyone that says something, well, you blah, blah, blah. You suck. I don't suck. Look in the mirror. What are you feeling? That's your issue. And I'm calling Mel Robinson all the time. I'm like, let them be who they are. It's not my job to change someone, but let me take care of me. And what's the best way of doing that? What's the best way of forgiving? You know, it is forgiving someone something, forgiving me release, for choosing to stay heart-centered and in the space and spirit of love, at least for me, right? I mean, again, it's not suppressing. I'm not like in this faux world where, oh, it didn't happen. Naming that without judging it, naming the issue without judging it. Anger comes and that anger hit me after I was initially wounded and lived in some of the crap that I was like, no, I've worked too hard. I've been working so many years on not taking that stuff from other people. And my own brain telling me that I'm dirty and not worthy and who would ever want to love somebody like me. You know, I worked too hard to take other people's voices out of my head. And it only took a second. And at that point, it wasn't strong enough because I was in that debilitating grief and sorrow and I had nobody to bounce it off of. I'm going to retract that. I did have my best friend and I did have a girl from the class who has since become a good friend. But I also felt like maybe I was dramatizing it because nobody was really in the circle of energy healing and Reiki at the time. I have since come to know, again, I'm not in the wrong. And it's not necessarily about being right or wrong, but you can dramatize things and I didn't want to dramatize. And I called this person out on it and I demanded my certification because he was going to withhold certification after I'd paid so much money that wasn't worth it to this person. I wanted my certification. And then I went and retook it by the head of the International Center for Reiki Healing, a Reiki training. So I didn't even keep his certificate because it had no value. Let me get to the No, Karen, I haven't done a lot of bad things, but there's no halo over my head and I'm not naive. And as the Dalai Lama would say, don't hang out with those people. Yeah, exactly. Oh, did Aria come in? Because I'm seeing Ben go, Aria. Hold on. If you're here, sweetheart, I'm sorry. Yes, she's here. I'm so sorry I missed you. Hello. And Mish says forgiveness is something she's been wrestling with more so recently. Victims impact statement. I've written several of them in my mind. And I would almost challenge you to write it, actually, voice record it, because you're not sending it anywhere. It's for you. And I think I've shared in the past that one of the healing techniques that I went to an open heart seminar at Kripalu yoga retreat, 2014-ish, they taught us that write what you need to write. Write the letter to the person that's wounded you. Write the letter to yourself. Write what's been done, where you've been, where you're going, what you want. Seal it in the envelope. And you could do one of two things. You can either mail it to yourself and open it when you're ready to read it, or just seal it and put it in a journal and read it when you're ready. And I was telling my therapist yesterday that I have about 3 of those letters and I'm about ready to read. especially the one that I wrote at Crapalo back in 2014. And I physically mailed it from that place to my home. And then I've written a couple of other letters to individuals that I needed to say stuff. And, we've talked about this here and other places. Sometimes when if I'm angry, that person can't receive the information, right? They can't hear what you have to say, but you still need to say it in order to forgive and to heal. And I wrote it and I've kept them. The one time I broke that rule was when I was having a very bad issue with my dad. And I wrote him a letter basically saying a whole bunch of stuff that I'm not sorry for saying. And I wasn't cruel in the letter. But I also said, please don't call me. I don't want to talk to you for a while. I will call you when I'm ready. And then I died. I literally died the next week. So, okay, don't know what to say about that one. We'll talk about that another time. Consequently, he did come to the hospital while I was in my state of unconsciousness, but we never talked about the letter. He never could talk about it. So, all right, let's get to the chat and then let me let you guys go. Forgiveness includes a lot of compassion. Yeah. Thank you, Mish. I'm sorry I had to go through it, but I also think that I had to go through it because I needed to know my value. I needed to know my worth. And so I think that when someone says something that is triggering or that impacts you in a certain way, I did believe the universe was trying to teach me a lesson. Maybe it was to stand up for myself. And it did take me a couple of weeks before I could talk to myself, but the hurt was a lesson. All right, let's see, where are we? I can't imagine that you well, somehow Ben must be preoccupied. I know I have a whole village now. I love that. I love that we all have that village. Oh yeah, I am big on that. Ergo, the vent line for the village. I've spoken about that for a couple of years now. I need to write letters to my sisters. Yeah, and even if you don't send those letters, Karen, I almost would say don't send them to the sisters. Write it. Save them. Sometimes the act of writing, that's why I'm so big on the journaling this year, is the act of writing moves us through whatever we need to move through. Because I'm going to tell you, sometimes, in your sister's case, in my case, it was my dad. My dad was never going to hear what I needed him to hear. The second I opened my mouth to talk about what I felt needed to be worked on, his brick wall just got thicker and thicker and thicker. And, I'd have a better chance of making an elephant dance than get my father to hear what I needed him to hear. And I had to work on forgiveness for that because I didn't want, and this was before he got cancer, I didn't want his end of life. I didn't want to get the phone call that my dad died. You know what I mean? I needed to let stuff go. I also had to set boundaries. So when I spoke to him, when he would call me and I wasn't prepared psychologically to talk to him, it went to voicemail. And I called him back when I had I was grounded and I had my ducks in a row and I was prepared to say, yeah, Dad, you're right. Whatever works for you. He would tell me what's wrong with my life. You're probably right. I took the wind out of the sails because you can't hurt me if I take it out of your sails, right? My initial response was to fight it and argue it and tell him that he was tripping, that I wasn't wrong. That's not something that was going to make a change. So all I said was, yeah, you're probably right. Nice to talk to you. I've got to go now. Love you. Bye-bye. And it was setting boundaries because I I didn't want to be hardcore and not have a relationship with my father. He wasn't perfect, but he was human and he was my dad. And I don't think it was his intention to deliver some of the things that he said to me the way he did. It's just what he knew. I'm going to call it generational. Um, and I had to work through that. So we as humans, that's part of this whole journey I'm talking about now. We can't affect change on someone else. We can't change them. We might be able to help somebody see something different. But when someone would call me chunky, I literally would say, "Do you have a mirror?" What do you mean? Go stand in front of it. And when you look good, come back and tell me what I look like. I'm like, I don't need you to tell me that I'm fluffy or I'm fat or I'm out of shape or I'm whatever I am. And this is going back a couple of years. I don't, your words, I don't need that. That's not for my benefit. You're judging me based on appearance. And I think I shared the other day that I went to a family thing and one of my cousins said, "Hey, oh, geez, really, you look good. Really, you do." And I said, "Did I not look good before?" I mean, he had seen me a couple of months before. Did he? No, he didn't come to my dad's funeral. But regardless, he had seen me less than a year ago and I looked the same, a little fluffier, but you know. And I'm like, what did you expect? Like, my family was so geared and is geared towards what your appearance is. I'm like, what is the value? If you go blind, am I not still me? If I'm in a horrific accident, am I not still me? If I look like Cindy Crawford, am I still not me? No, because I'd be looking like Cindy Crawford. But you know what I mean? Like it's, and what about me wasn't lovable or presentable before? It's a thing and it's a generational thing. It's a status thing. And, you know, in a way, I'm glad I have a heart thing because I'm not going to be nipping and tucking and sucking all that stuff out. I'm going to work it out. I'm going to eat healthier. I'm going to be healthier for me. You either like me or you don't like me the way I am. You either love me or you don't love me. You either want to be in my company or you don't want to be in my company. And everything else just isn't important. I don't like you, whoever you are. And most of you are anonymous to me. So if I ever met you in person, I'd still love you despite what you look like because of who you are and who you've been to me on this channel. So I don't give a flipperty gibbet, you know what I mean? What somebody else means. So I just wanted to check the poll for a second before I end it. Oh, 75% of you said that you would, of course, I don't know how many people are in my chat, would want to, 4 votes. Okay. So look, I'm going to schedule it and I'll let you know. It'll be probably posted and then I'll mention it in one of my my lives because when you do them, the 3 sessions, they need to be fairly consistent in order for the mantra, the impact of what I'm going to say to take effect. So, and then anybody after that, if you really liked it and would like to continue or use it for something else, whether it's positive thinking or something, whatever, then we could talk about it. I really feel strongly that community can help build us to achieve whatever the goals are that we're setting for ourselves. So, all right. So let me, dun, 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 dun. Indigo says, I have dysmorphia because at my thinnest, I was sick. And when I gained healthy weight, people commented. So I can empathize and relate. They used to call me the skinny little mini with the meatball nose. I was a skinny Italian girl. I had a lot of health problems, female problems. I gained weight, and it not one of those people that were judging me on the filling out of my body, which did in theory make me a little bit healthier. Um, and I was borderline anorexic. That's what they called me. Professionals. Um, because I didn't eat in order to measure up. P.S. I could have been this thin and I still wouldn't have measured up because they're other people's ideas of beauty. You can't change the face. I'm not going to look like somebody else that you think I'm supposed to look like. You gave birth to me, Father. I am you. I'm just the female version of you. But and then when I gained the weight, the criticism was harsh for a really long time from a whole extended Italian family. It's something, and it does mess with your head. For me, hypnosis has helped with that because I want the voice to be my voice. And I still have to work on it every single day. When I say something negative about myself, though, at this point in time, I'm able to say, whoa, 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 sister. If that was your best friend in front of you, would you say that to her or him? No, I would never in a million years. So dial it back. And then I'm just like, find one good thing. One good thing. Okay, good. Now you know you need to eat better, do better. You know that you need to move. I'm not telling you to go on a 50-mile hike. It's a commercial. Get up and move it, you know? Shake your groove thing, girl. Couple of different songs there, Ben. And I don't know if anybody ever saw Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. That's going back now. The music from that movie gets me physically up and moving and shaking. Dun, 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 dun. I need to eat more and better. Great. Well, then I think that's something that we can all do together. I will schedule that. It will be announced on Tuesday. Yes, positive thinking. I am positive making the brown note generator will change people. Yes, Ben. Like Teresa said, brown or not, you are still one of my favorite peoples. And you being you is worth more than I could ever buy. Yes, Karen, women do especially get criticized for weight and appearance, but I will say I do know a couple of men that were buff as hell. And then whatever happened, and I don't know their details, they got fluffier and fluffier and more out of shape. Now, a lot of them traveled for sales for business. And had families and probably ended up, they didn't get to go to the gym or they didn't get to do whatever. Maybe the gym kept that person from being fat, even though they were eating like they were a 10-year-old. And it impacted some men. And especially when we had conferences and people would say, Joe, is that you? And like almost appalled. So I do think men have received it. It may not be, mostly women don't give a hoot in a handbasket. If a man's treating them well, they're going to stick by their guy. Body Illusion says, yes, it takes 7 positives to counteract 1 negative. All right. BG's, Teresa. I know. I like taking things at a pace that's good for me, like starting my channel. I know, I can't wait. My first 2 series are just monthly. Then I'll sprinkle in collabs. I volunteered. After you mentioned it, I definitely will collab. Yeah, I was skinny like the underweight for a vast majority of my life, and it really changed my thinking on that. Yeah, Ben, thanks for sharing that. Yeah. Whereas some people have the energy for weekly daily content. It's what's good for you. Oh yeah, I only do twice a week. I'm not going to do every day. I don't think I don't have enough content to do every single day. And I do some prep before this. And as queen procrastinator, I don't want to wait until the last minute and freak myself out. I'm trying to be good to myself. Plus, I'm trying to start some other things, and I can't do that if I'm doing this 24 hours a day. Plus, until I find, until people find me and my channel starts to grow, I do need to find other ways to bump me up. So we'll see. Ben says, I am much better at negative self-talk because of Chase's confidence reboot hypnosis. I need to hit some of it more. Well, there you go. I have my health issues to think of too. It's all a balancing act. I'm really proud of our community as a whole. It seems like a lot of us are becoming more conscious of our self-love. And I think that's the key, guys. And so this hypnosis, just to share with you, and then I'll let you all go. It's really just about mindfulness and awareness. And it's a repetition. And I'll give you a couple of things that you can take away and use or not use. I'm not telling you what to eat. I'm not telling you how to eat. I am not a professional. What I am telling you is that there are things that we can do, and we know what are bad for us. If I'm going to buy a freaking box of, 8 or whatever ring dings, that's not a vegetable, it's not a healthy carb, and it's not a protein. So I know it. Don't do it, right? If I want to have dessert and I go out to eat, I'll have a damn dessert. I'm not going to punish myself for the dessert. But by putting certain things in my home that I know I will reach for in whatever my mood is, that isn't good for me, well, I'm the person that's making that choice. It's adding 1 or 2 positive things health-wise to our meals. I'm not telling everybody, don't cut out your mashed potatoes, and especially if you grow them, they're the best for you. But I'm also not saying to eat them with every single meal, right? I had to give up initially pasta because I was having it with every single meal. Now I have it once or twice a month. And I've used things like butternut squash and spaghetti squash and yams. It's not angel hair pasta. But I still can, I'm only going to eat things that are flavorful, and I'm not eating stuff that I don't like. So I think that's it. That's the other thing, is to find foods you like that are healthy. And you can still have the, rice, depending on the rice, some rice has value and some rice is just rice. Take a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons. Don't use a whole big soup spoon, a big scoop of it. So there are smart things that we can do, but it's about accountability and it's about supporting each other. And that's really what I want to do, is support us. And I know I could use the cheerleading, and the accountability, and the movement is the biggest thing for me. Being in this apartment, I became a couch potato. Maybe because the other house was so big and I had so much cleaning and I was packing and I had so much to do. It was different coming to this apartment and then starting a job at the same time and getting the puppies at the same time, and not being able to declutter and organize just put me into chaos, and my mind couldn't be clear. And then losing that job that I liked so much, just sort of, it injured my spirit. It didn't break my spirit, but it injured my spirit and my confidence. And I allowed it to, and sat down and became a couch potato. And that's my doing. And I have to change that. The purpose of doing this together is a collaboration. And, if anybody in the chat, when we start this process, says, hey, would you send me a text just to encourage me to get up and move? Then I will do that. And vice versa. I will reach out and say, will you just check in on me once or twice a week to see if I've moved? And partly that's what I'm going to be saying anyway is, hey, I walked today. Hey, I danced today. Hey, I did my squats. I did my arm exercises. If anybody watches Kaleidoscope or Echo on Living My Best Life, she does her exercises. Gosh darn it all, that woman looks fantastic. She has been pushing through and moving through. She's like my hero because she's doing it no matter what. And it doesn't have to be full of bells and whistles, right? Little things, using a rubber band, using water bottles, using your own body weight. It doesn't really matter. It's about moving. And eventually we'll feel stronger. And eventually we'll either continue or not. Yeah. A lot of processed foods. Absolutely. I've worked really hard to eliminate where I can processed foods. But there's value to processed foods, people, until you get to be able to cook all the time, prep all the time. I only would encourage you, if you're going to eat processed foods, try to look at salt content, try to look at sugar content, and choose differently if you can, or reduce some of that if you can. Again, this isn't about judgment. So I'm not telling anybody to give up anything. You can keep doing the same thing all the time. It's noticing what is contributing to preventing you from being the healthier version. And there's reasons. And again, not a doctor. Don't play one on YouTube. Didn't get this way overnight. Exactly, Mish. This took time. Ben says, I know I need to be more serious more often, but it's so hard when you have to deal with the idiocy for humor not to come out sideways. Oh, I hear you. Yeah, thanks for posting that, Mish. Okay, guys, I've kept you too long. Loved being here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me. For those watching on the replay, pretty please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. That would be wonderful. I am going to be looking to do some collabs myself in the coming months. So if anybody would be willing and would like to, great. And I'll reach out. And yes, I'm also sending love, healing, compassion, laughter, giggles, sunshine to all those that are willing to accept it. Until we meet again, have a great weekend. I'm sure I'll see you on some channels, but have a great weekend. I'll see you on Tuesday, and I will tell you what the schedule is going to be for the 3 hypnosis sessions. Much love. Bless you all. I'll see you soon.